good afternoon, I don't know. It's a challenge for me because I'm the last speaker and I have to speak after Kevin, which was really brilliant. So it's a tough job for me. First of all, I want to ask you to apologize for my English, which is not as fluent as Kevin's one. I am agronomist. I'm dealing with plant protection since 40 years now. I'm 65 years old. I'm married. I have 3 children. And I'm also a beekeeper, and I have 600,000 bees. You may ask, how do I know that I have 600,000 bees? In fact, it's very easy. I counted the legs, and I divided by 6. By the way, I've done the same for my children. Huh? So the question I want to address is it still possible in Europe, at least in Western Europe, to rationally address modern agriculture? I really have a doubt on this. Kevin spoke about GMOs. We had this discussion on GMOs. We know the results. We have a lot of other discussion, and all these discussions are how to get a good relationship between consumer and farmers. And I thought that there is a huge gap between citizen view of agriculture and the farmers. And there is you see the view of citizen on the left is Martine à la ferme, which is Martine is a young girl. She is coming to visit her grandparents in the farm. And of course, it's normal. She arrives with a cart drawn by a donkey, a smiling donkey. She will play with hens, puppies, and things like that. And this is the view of citizen. It's a little bit caricatural, but it is what the citizens see in farms. Although on the right side, you have a farm close to Paris with irrigation, with windmills, with cereals. And so you see it's completely different view. How agriculture is perceived by citizens. First of all, the citizens, they want to have small farms. I don't know why small. Small is beautiful. That's why it is more beautiful than a large farm, nobody knows. Of course, with animals. I visited farms with people, and the first question they ask you is, where are the animals? I said, well, there is no animal. There is a dog, there is a cat, but that's it. Oh, it can be a farm without animals. It's impossible for citizens. With small machine, of course, if you have a huge combine machine, they don't like. With local seeds, not seeds from Monsanto, old variety, of course, because in the old time it was much better. If possible, with organic production, that means no chemicals. Working with nature, and why not with astrology, cosmology, as we see in the biodynamics trend. Selling production on a small village market. This is the view of agriculture by citizens. That's what they ask. That means also no link with agro-industry. You don't have to produce potato to sell to McDonald's. Of course, it's crazy. And why? Because today the food is not safe anymore. And behind this, the past is better. So you see the past here, much better. And the only link that in France, at least, they have with farmers is during the national exhibition in Paris. So there is nice cows, well protected, clean, no smell. And this is the only way they have contact with farmers. Past is idealized, but nobody remembers how it was painful in the past to work in agriculture. And a lot of children or women, you see here, a weeding control in the year 1940, is not so far away. Weeding control, it's very easy, for the men at least. The men, they stand here, and the women and the children, they have to pick up the weeds. Nobody remembers this. The other picture here, sorry for back of the room, it's children picking Colorado potato beetles. Last time I had a group of children, and I asked them, are you ready to pick Colorado potato beetle during your school time? They said, no, it's too dirty. We don't want to touch an insect. And the last one is the way the people they used to protect or to produce. They asked the clergyman to come into the field and to pray for the good production. That was one of the main methods to produce at that time. So it's not so long. This picture is 1950. It's not so far away. And of course, there is no support at that time from other technology. The reality, in Paris, there is a big market in the south of Paris. This market has to provide 18 million meal or food for 18 million people every day. Nothing to do with a small marketplace. Huh? The world production, we know it has already been said that it has to increase by 70%. It needs for that high technology input. What has been really improved also is the food quality and the security. There is a need of competitiveness. Well, nobody is living alone on his island, so there is competitiveness all around. And all the farmers, what they are looking for, they are looking to have holidays. They are looking to have the same type of life than everybody. That means they want to have less pain in their work. The growing population, it has been said, in 1960, there were 3 billion people. In 2025, we will be roughly 8 billion. And that means the acreage available to produce food for humanity is, we move from 4,300 square meters per people in the 1960 to 1,900 square meters per people in the 2025. So we have no choice to no other choice to increase the productivity. And to come back to some history, when the productivity increased, it took a while. This is the wheat production per hectare in France from 1815. I am a member of the French Academy of Agriculture, and this is an old lady, this French Academy. So I am not born in 1815, don't worry. But we have old books, so we made this curve. And science starts in agriculture roughly by the end of the 19th century. It took a while before getting progress, and we see just after the Second War, the increase of yield due to genetic, due to fertilization, due to pesticide, due to machinery mainly. And the yield increased quite a lot. It still has to increase. We are facing for today a kind of flat zone. So there is need to increase again. And this is true, I think, for all the world. The value of global food production in the world increased by 300% since 1970, which is a strong achievement. So, fracture, I hope it's correct, fracture, yes, between townsmen and farmers. There is a lot of fake news regarding new technologies, and these fake news are mainly designed to stop industrial or productive agriculture. fake info to support public and politician views. And there is a need of scapegoats, is it correct? Scapegoats, such as GMO, but GMOs in Europe are more or less blocked now. So they move to new breeding technology. So the new breeding techniques using CRISPR-Cas, for instance, technology, they are blocked in Europe for the time being. Glyphosate is a scapegoat. Modern cattle breeding, there is a lot of things like this, where the media, the public, needs to have scapegoat against agriculture. There is some history. There was mistake in the past, especially on pesticide. There was mistake, and you know, of course, Silent Spring. The mad cow disease was challenging for agriculture because it was clearly strange practice. The GMOs has been a new issue, then the bee issue, the human health issue, animal welfare, and food safety. Through all this story, science-based agriculture has been challenged. New modern of production is requested by public, but which one? Organic, biodynamic, urban farming? Which one? Silent Spring, it's well known. The plant protection is started more or less in the 19th century, just after the discovery of the microbial and fungi infestation of plants. Using copper, sulfur, acid, just to let you know, in France between the First War and the Second War, France were using 200,000 tons of sulfuric acid to weed the cereals. Can you imagine to treat plants with sulfuric acid? It was crazy. Then the organic chemistry arrived, and insect vector were controlled, and also a lot of pests, which was really easy. It was so easy that everybody overused this pesticide. And this was a mistake, clearly, we have to admit this. Now, this lead to development of technology, toxicology and ecotoxicology, and a rational evaluation of pesticide, and the creation of independent agency to assess the risk of the use of the pesticide. And this is really based on science. I would not say that there is no mistake. It could have some mistake, why not? But in general, I think the agencies that we have in Europe are very, very clever. So there is another scapegoat, is glyphosate. In France, glyphosate is 12% of the total use of pesticide. So can you imagine a government banning glyphosate? It can claim, we get rid of 12% of pesticide. That's fantastic for the public opinion. And so it's also the symbol of intensive, productive, and industrial agriculture. The attack against glyphosate is based on the CIRC assessment, so the Center of International Research on Cancer, who classified glyphosate as probably carcinogenic, which is the same than the red meat. But the CIRC assess mainly the hazard, not the risk. And you know the difference between risk and hazard, of course. Do you know? Hazard. If you have a cobra in the room here, it's very hazardous. But the risk to have a cobra is very low. I hope, no? So the national agencies assess the risk assessment. And if you look at this, you have the main international agency of the main countries. So you have the European Food Safety Agency, the European Chemical Agency, you have the EPA from US, you have Canada, you have Japan, all these agencies, Switzerland, FAO even, and the French one is the last one. All of them, they said it's not carcinogenic. The report from the media, and thanks for this chart with Ida. Thank you for helping me. 73% of the media report mentioned only the CIRC assessment. All the rest there was no information. So this is a way to manipulate the public opinion. Honeybees and pesticide. You have read everywhere that because of pesticide, honeybees are disappearing. Have you read this? Okay. It was not sure, so they found that Einstein said, if the bee disappears, man only will have 4 years to live. Yes, it's a great calculation. Have you seen the calculation Einstein made to find this? It's fantastic, huh? So Einstein had no interest for bees, as far as we know. He never said this, but you find this in all the newspapers. The second one that you can find is in China. You see this lady, she is in a tree, in a pear tree. She is pollinating by hand. Why not? And it's true. And they said she's pollinating like this because there is no bee in China. They use a lot of pesticides. It's polluted. In fact, it's a special valley in Sichuan where they prefer, when you plant a pear orchard, you need to have 1/3 of the plant which are a pollinating variety, okay? Which pollinate the variety you want to harvest. There is no auto-pollination of pear tree. And for this, you lose 1/3 of the surface because the pollinating trees are not interesting. And in these Chinese valleys, the employment was cheap, and they prefer to keep this 1/3 of the tree of the right variety. So by this way, they have all the trees the same variety, so there is no auto-pollination, so they have to pollinate by hand. Okay? And for this, because there is another point on China. China is the main producer of honey in the world, and by far. So how can you produce honey if you don't have bees? Maybe they have trick in China, I don't know. The honeybee colonies are disappearing. By the way, this is me here, with part of my bee children. Worldwide, the honeybee population increased by 65%. This is FAO data. It increased in Asia, this is the yellow line. It increased in Africa. It's slightly reducing in North America. It's growing in South America a little. And in Europe, this is the gray line. It's falling down here. Do you know why? I help you. It's in 1990. It's fall down. It should be a terrible pesticide, no? Do you know the story? It is the end of USSR. And USSR, the honey production was the only liberal economy in the Soviet system. So everybody has hives at that time. And as soon as USSR stopped, then they don't need anymore to produce honey. The people, they can win money by other means. So they don't need to have honey production anymore. So a lot of Soviet people, they stop producing honey. And in France, you have here the number of hives since 1995 up to last year, no, 2 years ago. It's around 1,300,000, and it doesn't disappear. It doesn't mean that it is easy to produce honey, but the number of bees is not decreasing. GMO, the story of GMO is funny. Jacques Chirac, one of our former presidents, in 1995, he decided to stop the nuclear test in the Polynesia. And so the Greenpeace organization, they lost a lot of members because they have no fight anymore. Well, they get rid of this nuclear test. And so they decided, well, we have to find a new topic. And the new topic which was proposed was GMO, fight against GMO. There was a lot of research, there was the debate on GM crops. And there is a famous one, you see the rat here, which is the rat of Mr. Seralini, who is a famous researcher. He made a test with rats, a special strain of rats who develops tumors. Even the non-treated rats develop tumor. But he shows only the treated rat fed with GMOs. And so he concludes that GMOs create cancer. This study has been completely reviewed by all the agencies everywhere in the world, and all of them, they conclude that the study was not right. It has been retracted from the publication, but you still have this study everywhere. And even I've seen the movie Food Evolution, I recommend to you, on GMO. And in this movie, they speak about this study, which is completely biased. So this is really funny how this type of information pop up in the public and is kept in the mind of everybody. And so it cost 15 million in Europe to reproduce this study with 2 different laboratories, more than this, in fact, more or less all the European countries were concerned. So two public studies has been developed. It cost 15 million, just to show that Seralini made a mistake. So GMOs, they are used on 190 million hectares in the world, which is roughly 4% of the total acreage in the world. It's used, 10 minutes, okay. It's used in Spain since 20 years. Nobody spoke about this. Since 20 years, since 1998, Spanish people, they crop the BT corn, not the Roundup one, but the BT corn. Nobody stopped to go to Spain, I hope. There is no more field research in France, because all field research, as soon as you start a research, even in a public center, it is destroyed by activists. And for the time being, one of my colleagues in the academy, he said, there is no publication whose protocol and or results are recognized by scientists could prove a proven risk of PGM, plant genetically modified. But anyway, EU people in the large majority, they are against GM crop. They are forbidden in most EU countries, even for research. And now, as it is banned more or less everywhere, they have to move to a new topic. And the new topic is a new breeding technology. Food was better before. We moved from the fear of running poison, we fear of running poison, which succeed to more old one, which is starving. There is more and more health crisis. This is common view. But which crisis are we speaking? We don't know what we eat, but we have such a large choice. And the better, it's amazing that the better we are informed, the more afraid we are. And what wants everybody is better food at lower cost. And then this is an issue. How to achieve this? You can find in the newspaper eating skill. It's incredible. Eating kills. Can you imagine? Not eating, it's sure, it's killing. But eating kills. You can alert in your plate. These foods that poison us. That's incredible to read this in the newspaper. It leads to lack of confidence in food, of course. It is due to the animal. In the past, the animals were very often rotten, the meat was rotten, and there was a lot of intoxication in the past. Industrialization and globalization of trade create a new food scare. Health alert system, which is quite good, I think. Maybe it can be improved, but it's quite good in Europe, is a guarantee of safety. But it's also a source of fear, because as soon as you have a scandal on one type of food, then you think that all food is corrupted. And we are facing a crisis in food trust. And on the top of that, the consumers, they want to spend less and less money on food. In 50 years, food expenses moved down from 25% to 14% of the average income. If you make a food survey in France, in 2010, 50% of people were anxious about the effect of food on their health. It was 66% in 2014. In 2016, it is raising 80%. 80% of France is a gastronomic country, yeah? But 80% of the French people, they are afraid of their food. In 1950, we had 4,000 deaths people due to food intoxication. It falls down today at 1,000, which is still a lot. It's 0.13% of the death in France. It is mainly due to bacteria, to contamination by bacteria, by virus or parasites. And on top of that, the lifespan increased by 15 years in between 1950 and now. On the other hand, because of development of organic production, we have new risk with weeds, which are toxic, you can find in the food, with mycotoxin. And this is the main threat of the government, actually, is the risk of mycotoxins. Some of mycotoxins are very, very dangerous. So organic farming is better. Great, we spoke a little bit already about organic farming. It means no fertilizer, no pesticide. This is the main point, one of the main points. But it needs organic manure, because you have to fertilize anyway. And for the time being, it needs cattle. If you need organic manure, you need cattle. And at the same time, the people said, well, we have to reduce the cattle. So it doesn't fit. Another point also is you need to have meadows, and meadows to produce cattle. And this is a use of land which is not directly linked with which is not providing food directly to human being. And there was several studies regarding saying organic food and conventional food are different. Organic food is better. But all the studies which has been done show that more or less they are the same. The only difference that they found, it was a British study, is you have more antioxidant in the organic food. But the amount of antioxidant which is increased in organic food is very limited. So in terms of nutrition, there is no big difference between organic food and conventional food at European level. So all this stuff, they have social consequence. 5 minutes, it's okay, should be okay. First of all, the farmer feel guilty. And this is bad, because the farmer in France, we have 20% suicide more amongst farmers than in the rest of the population. This is not the only reason, of course. There is other reason, but this is one of the part of the problem. There is a lot of misunderstanding between their way of producing and their consumer. And there is consequence on school and education, because in the school you can learn that the farmers are producing bad food, it's dangerous, and blah, blah, blah. So there is mistrust of consumer regarding food quality and safety, distrust of experts, confidence in pseudoscience, and for instance, we have the biodynamic. Biodynamic, you know what it is? It's incredible, incredible. Honestly, I saw just a video just a few minutes before, a guy shaking a horn of cow with bullshit inside, and then spraying this bullshit, saying it will save my grapes. It's crazy, really crazy. So the media amplify this message because this is the only type of agriculture that you can see in the French TV, at least. And population think life will be better if we return to a traditional production. But which one? There is legal consequence, of course, consequences. The ban of GMO, including research, as I said, and over-transposition of a lot of European regulation even. So, France decided to ban glyphosate 2 years before the rest of Europe. Why? Don't know, it's political. Okay. We lose also a lack of competitiveness. We have a lack of competitiveness, and we can see now the reduction of our exportation. France used to export a lot of agricultural product, and now we are more or less at the same. We import as much as we export, and so the balance is zero, almost zero, which is crazy for a country like us. I don't understand this policy. It is the European policy, by the way. Europe is importing the equivalent of 35 million hectares of production. And I don't understand why the production of food in Europe cannot feed Europe. This is, for me, a nonsense. So, conclusion, a general misunderstanding, ignorance of reality, low level of knowledge about the rationale and the method of crop production for general public and politicians, of course. There is an unknown, which is a benefit-risk balance, and this large suspicion regarding food quality and safety. This confusion is maintained by bad image of modern agriculture in media, active communication of fear merchants. My conclusion is there is a need to continue to improve farming system. Which one, I don't know, it has to be decided, without coming back to good old time. This improvement needs specific scientific expertise, also for public information. There is not a farm food crisis or an environmental crisis. There is only a crisis of ignorance. And this is adapted from Richard Buckminster Fuller. And I thank you for your attention.